As most of us, that community radio as such has come, as Professor Pavrala also said, to fill the buffer that has been created by the commercial media as well as the public broadcaster. Towards that extent, community radio, as we say, democracy is of the people, by the people, for the people. So the community media and community radio as such is also, for the community, by the community, and it is to be run by the community itself. And the radio has to understand the requirements of the community in which it is operating. But listening to the speech by Professor Pavrala and the interaction that was there, I have the observation that the community radio will be doing a service to the community if it can really understand the requirements of that particular community and try to fill that gap between the ideas that are flowing around and then how community can benefit from those ideas. Definitely I join Professor Pavrala in saluting AIR and Doordarshan for doing an exemplary work in bringing the activities or the programs of the government to the people. SITE was a huge success in a way. It has its own pitfalls also. It was not 100% success, but definitely it did make a difference in the lives of many people. Radio also reaches every day, especially to the rural areas. People still listen to the radio, especially in morning hours, and especially in those areas where we don't have electricity. Electricity is a big challenge. Television requires electricity. So it's making a huge contribution in the lives of the people. But nonetheless, what we are experiencing over a period of time, that our AIR and DD, Doordarshan both, are increasingly forgetting their social mandate. Because there is a huge pressure from this commercial broadcast media, be that FM radio or be that the private television channels. Unfortunately, it's not happening only in India, it's happening across, in Bangladesh, in Pakistan, in Sri Lanka. The public broadcaster is forgetting its mandate. That's why in primetime television, you see the programmers which are either meant for the upper middle class or they cater to the requirements and present their problems and present their viewpoint to the ordinary Indian citizens, which constitute 70% of the population, which is mostly rural and which is mostly agricultural. Under such circumstances, community media can fill the gap. While listening to the introductory sessions, most of us, the community radio stations, are working for the women empowerment. Some of them for the agricultural development, especially those in the Krishi or agricultural universities. Very few are working in other areas which are also equally important. For a small community living in 15 kilometers radius, women empowerment is not the only issue. Health and nutrition of the women is not the only issue. There are multiple issues in every community. The community radio will probably serve a purpose if it tries to understand first the problems of that particular community, then try to find out what are the viable solutions in that particular community, and whether there are any government schemes or there are any NGO schemes which can help people to scale those difficulties that they have, and then make programs. Rather than saying that I work only for women empowerment, I work only for agriculture, I work only for youth. That is something which probably negates the very idea of having a community radio station. Because the idea is to take all in fact the government of India must also have thought in those ways, because the schemes that they thought will help the people are not reaching them, because the schemes are typically meant for a particular area. People are not able to know about those schemes. Can there be a channel, local community channel, which can help us to reach those people? So the community radio really has to think in terms of serving the community in the right sense, in which they have to create their own niche. Your success is not that you cannot compete with an FM channel. FM channel has a different mandate. The commercial FM channel. You need not to compete with All India Radio. They have a totally different mandate. Your mandate is to serve the community. So we have to realize our mandate and then try to serve best to the community that's there. There is a reference to the disaster management, and rightly Professor Pavrala said that we cannot have a radio station only for a disaster. That definitely will be a disaster. But definitely the community radio has shown, when the floods came in Kashmir and when the floods came in Chennai in last few years, when there was a complete breakdown of the communication machinery, in Srinagar, both AIR and Doordarshan were flooded, so they were off the air. The mobile network was gone. So it was the small radio station which was established on the hillock that helped people to connect. Same happened in Chennai. And recently, CEMCA is working with some stations in northeast and other areas. And recently, in the floods in Assam, Radio Lut, they start a huge relief work because they have the communication power. They can, mobilize the people, come together and help. And that has made a lot of difference in the people who required the help at that particular time. So, over a period of time, the radio channels have to also reinvent what's required at this time. I cannot fix my focus once for all that I am only for this particular idea. What's the requirement, immediate requirement of my community? I was seeing these posters outside. I saw, some interesting work that is being done by some radio stations. There is a requirement of teachers in the rural areas, especially in communities, because our infrastructure, unfortunately, for education is huge, but it is confined to some urban areas, to some capital cities, some metropolitan cities. I found some station is helping 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade students get them tuition through radio. This is a service that they are doing. They are getting into the education sector, helping the students who don't have access to good teachers to benefit from this community radio. And CEMCA, as all of you know, has been working in this sustainable development of the community radio. In fact, CEMCA, I have joined very recently. I haven't made any contribution. In fact, I am myself trying to understand how best CEMCA can engage with the community radio and then try to make some difference. But definitely CEMCA right from 2006 has been working with the people, helping them to get the licenses. There was some facilitation center also that was created. A lot of people, even today, I am told, are getting help from CEMCA in getting licenses and then doing many other things. CEMCA's aims and objectives are to help community radio stations build their capacities, train people locally, and then try to find what's called the local solutions. In fact, there is this term called glocally. We think global, but we act locally. And in this regard, CEMCA in the past year has engaged with CR stations for bringing about some development using this concept of glocally. With the help of DST, as some of you are aware, CEMCA last year did a project for Science for Women through nutrition. 14 stations were selected for this particular project. Baseline surveys were conducted, and CEMCA created a base of 14,000 women. Who were engaged from home. The data was collected about their health issues, about their nutrition issues, and then 140 women from the same area were trained to collect the data. It's easier for the women from the same community to talk to women of their in their neighborhood. They feel more comfortable in sharing the information with them. And in the process, these 142 women also get sensitized about the issues, and then they became the change agents. Then the local advisors, social advisors, agricultural advisors, nutritionists, doctors were consulted in the advisory group, and they gave the idea about conducting the programs, and then programs were produced, capacity building of the program production was done. In fact, we also did another thing when we were doing this. We tried to use this Google for doing the analytics, and we selected the boys and the girls from the same area. I am thankful to Mr. Ansari. I had the opportunity of visiting his center during that time, And I could find, I mean, the people from the local area have been brought. These people also got an opportunity to learn how to use the Google Drive for feeding the data, for collecting data. So you are in a way engaging the youth also, giving them some another skill set while you are doing these programs. So we have not yet been able to find out, I mean, whether the intervention that we made with the help of the DST has made a big impact. But the sense is, yes, definitely it has made some impact. And in fact, we are planning to go for a major impact study of all these stations wherever we had done work to find out whether the intervention has made any impact or not. Similarly, as I said, in northeast and north, we selected 8 radio stations, CR stations, and we are trying to utilize the CR stations for the capacity building in skill development of youth. Because see, India is a huge country with around 30-40% population, younger population in the age group of 15 to 30. But most of this population does not get access to good education and good skill trainings. And India's advantage lies in marketing the skilled labor. I mean, one is helping the people to get skill to earn a livelihood here. Second is to feed the whole world, because world is aging. India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, these are young countries in terms of the youth population. So there is a huge challenge of training the ordinary Indian youth who live in the rural areas, who live in the far-flung areas, who live in the marginalized communities, to get them towards these skill development programs which Government of India has started in a very big way. So we have started these 8 stations in northeast and in north, and these stations are conducting job melas, they are conducting programs for the youth, telling them, I mean, what type of skill set, I mean, can they acquire, and what are the job opportunities in those skill sets, and then also trying to find out what is the locally viable skill that is there, so that the aspirations of the youth can be increased. And the preliminary results of the survey show that the youth are not even aware about the skill training programs, and they don't know how to benefit from them. So the radio stations, the community radio stations, can try to find out how they can contribute in youth empowerment, increasing the aspirations of the youth, driving them towards skill development, and then making a difference in their lives. It's encouraging to note that some of these stations like Radio Brahmaputra, and I think there's somebody from Radio Luth here, and Gyan Taranga from Assam, Radio Silesian and Radio Jadavpur University from West Bengal. There is somebody I think from Jadavpur University also here, and Radio Snehi from Bihar. They have done a commendable work in youth mobilization for skill training and job melas. They are connecting youth to skill training opportunities, educational opportunities, and job opportunities. Radio Brahmaputra, for example, have attracted 104 youth. This is the preliminary report that they submitted to me some days back, of which 37 have enrolled for various skill courses. So success in terms of the numbers may not be big, but consider the 15 kilometer or 10 kilometer radius in which you operate. 104 people attracted towards skill development programs and 37 actually enrolling. I mean, that number becomes big. So if 206 radio stations start doing similar type of programs, you can imagine, I mean, what will be the the scenario in the country after 4 or 5 years if we sustain this effort. So the stations, when they do these programs, they are involved in the field activities, they engage with the youth, they bring the corporates, they bring the the industrialists, they bring those who offer jobs, and put them together with the youth in the area, and then make difference in the lives of the people. And in this process, when they do this, the community radio station itself gets benefited, because when you engage with the youth in your area, somebody was telling me, I mean, CEMCA has stopped giving. I think, madam, you told me, CEMCA has stopped, doing these capacity building programs for production of the radio programs. And CEMCA can support some programs wherever it is required, and that is a matter of debate, but definitely wherever it is required, our intervention, we will do that. But during these capacity building programs, baseline studies, when the CR station actually engages with the youth, As Prasar Bharati said, that broadcasting is not a rocket science. You pick up a mic and speak. The only thing is, we allow you to speak in your own native language, using your own mannerism, then you become a broadcaster. We have to simply encourage you to come to the station. But when you engage with the youth in terms of, these programs, you are building a capacity of broadcasters for your stations, and that is probably the sustainable model for the station. Because once you train somebody, you cannot retain them for long. And in fact, it will also be a service. If you get a person to your station during these programs, he gets trained as a small-time broadcaster. And who knows, he can tomorrow become a very big broadcaster at the national level. I, as the director of the Educational Multimedia Research Center, in a small manner, encourage the students of the mass communication to become the anchors of my weekly program on Doordarshan. I was criticized also a bit that why are you allowing these students to come? They are not professionals, they cannot do a professional job. I said, let them not do a professional job, that is not my aim. Let them get the confidence from this program that they can deliver. And today I feel very proud that at least 20 of those people who started their anchoring from my Quest weekly program on Doordarshan have become anchors on the major Doordarshan channels. Two of them, one of them worked in the NDTV also, and he mastered some of in the daytime he was the anchor of some major programs, and now he's working with some international organization. So if we make small contributions in our own areas through these engagement with the youth, we will be creating a sustainable model, and we will be also improving the lives of many people. A similar experiment we have started in Bangladesh, where 5 CR stations we have selected and we are supporting them. Baseline service has been conducted for 5,000 youth, and we are trying to link them with the National Skill Development Council of Bangladesh, and training programs will be conducted, and similar efforts are being done. Another important intervention that I have been working precisely for last 2 years, as most of you know, and in fact for community radio it is more important, because we are working with the community to help them to improve their lifestyle, to improve their living conditions, to improve their earning conditions. So, but every listener to a program is not a learner. And unless he becomes a learner, then my program is not going to make any difference. It becomes another FM program, because the radio listening or television watching is a non-exclusive activity. You watch television, but you are doing many other things. You listen to radio program, after half an hour you don't know what you have heard in half an hour's time. So our effort is that we will try to make this listener a learner, because if the listener becomes a learner, then only a change can be brought in his life. We have developed a small prototype, a model, which is called TL2L, transition from listener to learner. This model has been developed and it is on our website now. I request all of you to go through this model. You can test this model at your own center. It starts from the mobilization of the youth and developing the programs, then engaging them. But it is only a prototype. This may or this may not work, but it's an effort from CEMCA. And we wish that people help us to fine-tune this model, and then probably this model can make a difference. And I request all of you to give us your advice and your suggestions, because you are the actual workers who are going to make use of this model. And we can, not, as Prasar Bharati also said, the top-down approach. It has to be the bottom-up, but we have kept a model there only for you to give us the suggestions so that we can follow. Again, in Bangladesh, we are trying to develop a web radio, which is like a hub radio with 5 spokes. Fortunately, in Bangladesh, they speak one language. So, if 5 stations come together and share their content through this platform, what we call web radio, they will probably save the money on creation of content at least. CRs, instead of making an individual investment, can collaborate with other CR stations and form groups or consortium for content or digital sharing. Digital content sharing has become a reality today. It has become a possibility today. What convergence is promising us, that you can mix up to many things. In fact, for the sustainability thing of the CR stations, you see, they say that when the new media arrives, the old media has to reinvent itself to remain in business. I will use the word business. Because if we don't reinvent ourselves, then we will be out of the service. The biggest challenge to community radio today is the community media, especially the social media. See, we cannot always look for the government for the support or for some organization for the support of running the station. Because government has its own agenda. If you keep on asking money, they will say, okay, we give you the money, this is what we want you to do. And ethically and morally, I cannot say no to the person who gives me money to do a thing. Same happens with NGOs. I mean, the word NGOization, which Professor Pavarala said, I mean, whether you like it or you don't like it, if somebody invests money in establishing a radio station, he does have certain things in mind. It happens with the government, it happens with the educational institutions, it happens with the NGOs, it happens with everyone. So tomorrow, if government thought that the community radio was to help take the developmental programs that government has to the people, but it is not doing so, it's indulging more in the activism, then probably they may withdraw the funding. That is one challenge, which is not a bigger challenge, because probably, in a democratic country like India, in such a huge country where people's voice matters, this may not happen. But the biggest challenge that comes to radio is from the social media. Because social media reaches people faster, it reaches people in more effective way, especially when there is a huge and high penetration of the smartphones. The bandwidth is increasing with every passing day. There are people in the villages where there is no electricity, but they have smartphones, they are all on the Facebook, they are on the WhatsApp, they are on all types of social media forms. So if tomorrow the collector of a particular district thinks that he has to reach the people, he will simply tweet. He will simply create a WhatsApp group in the villages, and everybody will get the message. Now, what is the role of the community radio? So the community radio, I think, has to think beyond radio broadcasts. They have to think about integrating the social media into their broadcast system. And social media, you should not take it as a challenge. You should not take it as a competitor. You should take it an opportunity. The radio has to see that social media is offering us an opportunity to make our programs more interactive, to reach more and more people, and then reach through multiple forms. There is this one web radio called Radio Garden. You can listen to any radio station, anywhere. So certain things need to be changed, certain things need to be reinvented by the community radio people, so that they remain relevant to the community and they reach more and more people. Odisha, fortunately, has a very vibrant community radio culture. Most of the stations, I am told, are doing well. The state government will be benefited if they utilize the services of the community radio stations in reaching the people. And to further strengthen the CR sector to become self-sufficient and sustainable development, CEMCA would like to place a few actionable suggestions before CRA, Community Radio Association of Odisha, for some immediate consideration. One, of course, is the content sharing, because if you share the content, then you will save a lot of money. And this can certainly be done in a collaborative manner. And the CRA, Community Radio Association, can think of creating a consortium for content sharing, archiving, and content library for the state. Because in Odisha, if you have a small consortium of the community radio stations, and CEMCA will support such a consortium if you are interested, we can help you to create a common platform where you can share your content, so that, because most of the problems in a state like Odisha are almost common. There is not, though, India is a very diverse country, and our dialect also changes after every 100 kilometers, or after 10 kilometers the dialect changes, after 100 kilometers even the language changes, and our priorities change, our culture changes, so many things happen. But more or less, when we think in terms of the big issues confronting the society, say in terms of education, in terms of health, in terms of agricultural practices, more or less, we have almost similar problems, at least in a state. So if a platform is created by the Community Radio Association of Odisha, most of your content can be shared. And good success stories that we are sharing here today can be actually shared with the people of this state. And then convergence to digital platform, as I elaborated on it earlier, as they say that geography is history. You are not confined to the borders of your state or your country. There are programs available to you, from across the world. And somebody told me that this Rangabati is some Odia thing, which is being played in all the gymnasiums in USA. And Odisha, with such a wonderful collection of the vibrant radio stations, can probably create a web radio and reach these people, Odias who are living in Arizona, in USA. And in fact, they also conduct Rath Yatra and celebrate Roja. So you can become part of your community which is not living in Odia. That will probably also help you, to become more sustainable over a period of time. Then the big program which Government of India started, the skill development, the skilled youth. In fact, Odisha has taken up this idea of skilling India in a big way. And CEMCA is engaging with ORMAS in Odisha. We are trying to help the youth in Odisha to take the advantage of this skill training programs under DDU GKY, Deen Dayal Upadhyay Gramin Kaushal Yojana. And fortunately, the Odisha State Development Authority, under the dynamic leadership of Mr. Subrato Bagchi, they are making very good strides in skilling, the youth. And especially in Odisha, which is considered, the state of the skilled people. The skill emerges from Odisha. There is a huge potential for the CR stations to engage with maybe the OSD or maybe with the ORMAS, and then try to help reach with these skill programs to the youth. So to conclude, I will say that CR stations will have to move beyond radio broadcast, as I said. They have to become vibrant community centers, trying to engage with the people. In fact, recently, there's somebody from Alfaz Mewat. So with Alfaz Mewat, Pooja Murada, I am trying to give her a project in her own area, so that the Alfaz Mewat does not simply remain a radio broadcast center for the community media. In fact, we are start working from the agricultural based, the people in that, because it's an agricultural community living in there. So we are trying to find out how this agricultural community can become part of the Alfaz Mewat in terms of, what are the type of the agricultural practices that are there, what are the type of fertilizers, where the seeds are available, when the seeds are available. That's one part. Second part is that in this particular area, there are a huge number of youth. Some of them want to go to some educational institution. They don't have any information about that. Can Alfaz Mewat also become a center so that they can provide information to the students in that area that these are the courses available in a particular university which are of use, and these are the, the likely chances of getting an employment after you do these courses. They also keep the forms available, because people are finding it very difficult to apply. Where are the posts? How can they apply for these posts? What are the new, the prescriptions that are available for ordinary diseases in that area? What are the diseases in that area? Do a baseline survey and then try to find out. So over a period of time, the broadcast center, the community radio station, will become some sort of a very vibrant community center, and then it will serve a purpose. Then you will not be definitely caught in the NGOization and other things, because the station is in a particular community. It has understood the needs of the community, and then it is serving the community through broadcasts, because you need a communication channel. So the broadcast or the community radio station is used only for the communication, but it serves as a vibrant center for the overall development of that community. So with these few thoughts, I thank you all for listening to me, and I thank the organizers for giving me an opportunity to be with you. And I can assure you that, CEMCA doesn't have a big role, but whatever little CEMCA can do, please give us ideas, And if you need some help, and if CEMCA can help that, definitely it will be our pleasure. Thank you very much.